Hi there, I'm Vincent Boss and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing dumper demands. How should a dumpee react? I provide audio coaching to help people try and get their ex back or get a new girlfriend or boyfriend. Check out my website for more details. www.dateme.tips. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. So now let's get back into today's podcast, and today we are discussing dumper demands. How should a dumpee react? So if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, it can be confusing to know what to do if your ex places demands or rules regarding your future connection. In today's podcast, I'll discuss 3 common dumper demands and how I believe a dumpee should react. So let's get straight into this. And number 1 is I want to be friends. Now this is quite possibly the most common question that a dumper might ask their dumpee after a breakup if they want to continue with a connection of some description. Now, I would always say the same answer to any dumpee, or for anybody that matter, who is put into a position where they are offered platonic friendship when they feel romantic feelings for this person. And that is, in my opinion, you can't have an active platonic friendship with somebody who you have romantic feelings for. And I'll explain why. So as I said in today's podcast, this is about what dumpees should be thinking and considering saying back to their dumper if they are posed certain questions, demands or suggestions. But this would count in any scenario, even if you've never been with this person. Maybe you have a crush on them and then you find out that they're offering platonic friendship. If you have romantic feelings for somebody and you are offered platonic friendship in return, I suggest that in your own way you decline this platonic friendship. Now, this doesn't mean you are rude. This doesn't mean that you are going to make the situation awkward between you both, because this is not going to help you and this is not necessary. What I suggest you do is maintain a scenario where you don't have an active platonic friendship. An active platonic friendship is where you are consistently and constantly working within this platonic relationship confines. So for instance, this would mean that you are texting fairly regularly. This would mean that you might be having phone calls. This would mean that you may be meeting up. These are the things you shouldn't be doing if you have romantic feelings for someone who is only offering you platonic friendship back. If you do this, then you will be falling into the trap where you will accept the platonic friendship and they will treat you as a friend. They will treat you as a platonic friend because you have accepted this. The problem with this is that they will therefore see you as somebody that they can discuss their dating life to. They will have no problem in saying to you, hey, look, I'm dating somebody new. Do you want to meet up with us sometime? They might consider inviting you to a party that they and their new partner are hosting. You do not want to be going to such events. You do not want to be mixing in these circles because your heart will be broken time and time again. It is so difficult to escape the friend zone. And if you are in a position where you think, look, I'm going to be their platonic friend and I'm going to try to work some magic and get my ex back, or if it's somebody brand new, try and connect with this new person, even though they're only offering me friendship, you are very unlikely to achieve your goal. It is very hard to escape the friend zone. It's nearly impossible to get to the place you want to be from the situation you now find yourself in. And that is, you have been friend zoned. They want platonic friendship. You don't. And I don't suggest you accept it. Again, it doesn't mean that you have to be rude. You could say something such as, I don't think this is a good idea because I like you more than you like me. You could say something such as, I will always have feelings for you, so I don't think it's wise that we spend time with each other in a platonic way. Look, you've got to say your own thing. You've got to speak in a way which is true to you, but make sure it is positive. Make sure you aren't turning this into something awkward. Make sure you aren't causing a scene. Make sure you're not being negative or causing an argument. You're not meaning to do that. I'm not saying you can't be pleasant to this person. I'm not saying you can't exchange a few messages here and there every few months. But what I am saying is you should decline an active platonic friendship, which means weekly text messages, phone calls, or certainly meeting up. This is not going to help you. This is not healthy for you. And I don't suggest somebody in a Dumpee's position accepts platonic friendship if it has been offered as a counter argument to the breakup. If you want your ex back, you can't accept platonic friendship instead. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast about dumper demands. How should a dumpee react? And point number 2 is stop doing this and we can get back together. So another common dumper demand is the suggestion that if their dumpee stops doing something, that they can then get back together, or at least the dumper will consider getting back together. Now, this is not a black and white situation. This is not straightforward. This is not something where I can definitively tell you the right or wrong answer. And this is because, of course, there is an unlimited amount of possibilities as for what this is, but you may be asked to stop doing. Is it reasonable or is it not reasonable? Now, let's show some suggestions which could be deemed as reasonable. Maybe you're taking illegal substances and your now former partner says, look, unless you stop taking these substances, I'm not going to get back together with you. But if you do stop this, if you become clean, this is something that I think we can work out. Now, that is what you could suggest is a reasonable request. Okay? Similarly, if somebody has got a difficulty in how they use their finances, if somebody's spending all of their money and all of their former partner's money, if their ex says to them, look, this relationship ended because I can't trust you with the money, but if you can get this sorted out, then yes, we can get back together. Again, this could be deemed as reasonable. Stop doing this and we can get back together. This is something to consider as a reasonable request. Now, what isn't reasonable is if there are unreasonable demands such as you are being unable to live a life which is fair to you. Now, in my opinion, a great relationship is between two individuals who have wonderful teamwork. This doesn't mean you blend together into one person. I strongly encourage people to maintain friendship groups with people they knew prior to meeting their partner, and also making new friends as well, of course. Having hobbies and interests are also important, separate from your partner. You know, you will need some time apart. You can't be living with each other 24/7 and expect to have a happy, fulfilled life all of the time. You know, you need your own space. Now, of course, it's very important to be living a special life with your special someone, but make sure that you do have some time for friends, family, and other interests. So if the suggestion from your ex was, look, if you stop seeing your friends, then we can get back together. Well, I would suggest that that is an unreasonable request. That is not something that a dumpee should be working towards. Because if a dumpee says, yes, I'll stop spending time with all my friends, then this is putting you in a difficult position. You will be just with your former partner and you will be living a 24/7 life. And as I've said, that is not healthy. Now, of course, you need to make sure that you look at your unique situation. Maybe the group of friends that you have are getting you into trouble, maybe serious trouble, and your ex could be making a reasonable request in that regard. But I'm speaking generally here. In most instances, a group of friends are not going to be getting you into a lot of trouble. It's going to just be more about you living your life, spending time away from your partner every now and again with your friends. I believe that's healthy. You know, everybody else can have their own opinion, but I believe you should have your own friendship groups. So as long as they're not getting you into some crazy trouble, as long as this isn't bad for you, then there is no reason to think that you can't sometimes spend time with your friends. Also your family, if not more particularly your family. If you have a former partner who says, look, if you stop spending time with your family, then we can get back together. Again, I would suggest that would be a bad idea if you were to accept this. As well, if you have hobbies and interests, as long as you're not doing them 24/7, as long as you're still spending a lot of quality time with your partner, then if you are told by your partner, look, I want you to quit this thing that you do once a week for an hour, I personally think that's unreasonable. So you need to be looking at what you're asked. If your former partner, if your dumper says, stop doing this and we can get back together, think about it. Is it reasonable? Is it unreasonable? If it's reasonable, then consider doing what they suggest and get your ex back. But if it's not reasonable, then I don't suggest you do this because you won't be happy. Maybe temporarily you'll be happy, but then you will miss whatever it is you've been told and agreed that you won't do anymore. And this will mean that you are not in the correct mindset to live a positive, fulfilled life within this relationship. And who knows, maybe you will be the dumper the next time. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast about dumper demands. How should a dumpee react? And point number 3 is friends with benefits. Now, the next and final of today's podcast, what I'm discussing are fairly common dumper demands that you may hear as a dumpee after the relationship has ended. And this one is friends with benefits. Maybe your ex has said to you, look, I'm not ready for a relationship where we just stay within our own confines. I'm not ready for a committed relationship just to you, but I'm happy to be friends with benefits as long as I can date other people. I would suggest, if you hear this, that you decline this offer, because this is very unlikely to satisfy you if you have been dumped. If you've been dumped, then that means you didn't want the relationship to end. That means you was happy with the dynamic of the relationship. Your former partner has changed this, and they're trying to make it so you are no longer exclusive. Do you really want that? I would suggest you don't. I would suggest you was happy with how things were before. And now if you have been downgraded just to intimacy, this is not going to make you happy. And you're probably going to be feeling jealous of the thought that your ex is able to date new people while seeing you casually. Even if they haven't mentioned that they're going to be dating new people, if they are only going to be friends with benefits with you, it's pretty safe to assume they are doing this so they can date other people as well. There might be some occasional other possibility. Maybe they are very, very busy for whatever reason, and this is all they can suggest. Look, you need to look at your own unique circumstances and decide for you what is good, what is right, what is healthy. But for me personally, if you've been dumped, that means you were happy with the dynamic, and now that has been taken away from you and you've been downgraded just to the intimacy. I don't think you're going to be happy. I think that's going to make you upset. I think that's going to make you feel jealous, needy, probably possessive over your ex, trying to regrow this connection from this position. And unfortunately, it's not likely to happen once the dumper has aligned their values with you. They've said, I only want friends with benefits. You agree with this. Okay, if this is all aligned, they're unlikely to want to change that back because they are having their cake and they are eating it. As they say, they are getting what they want. They just want the intimacy with you, and more than likely they want to date other people as well. Whereas you've had the relationship you wanted snatched away from you and replaced with this. I don't think that's going to work for you. And I strongly suggest if you were offered friends with benefits instead of a committed, singular relationship with one another, I don't think this is something that's going to work for you. I believe that you would be much more happy if your ex said to you, look, how about we work things out properly? So if you were offered friends with benefits instead of a committed relationship with one another, I suggest you say no. Look, if you want to be intimate with me, it comes with a full package. I only am intimate with people that I'm in relationships with, and that will at least put you in the position where you can walk away in a stronger scenario than you would have been if you stuck around, because your ex might be thinking, well, look, maybe I really do want to get my ex back now. Maybe I want to try to sort things out, because I thought they would crumble. They've shown their high value. They've walked away. And if I miss them in that aspect, there is always a chance that I will miss them in other aspects as well. And therefore, you might want to hear from your ex again in the future, and they might actually want to reconnect in a proper, fuller way. If you believe that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description.
Yeah, if you miss your ex, we can help with that. Help you get him back, or we can help find you someone else. Yeah, Vincent Bo, the relationship coach, giving you some insight, bringing you a new approach. DateMe.tips, go and check the site, giving you advice, helping with your love life. Get your ex back, or move to the next. Ain't no sweat, you know Vincent Bo got you. Finding love ain't no problem. Yeah, DateMe.tips, check it out now.